Hey, deserving listeners, it's a new season of 90 Day Fiancé. The other way, let's watch.
All of them?
Yep. I'm Ellie. I'm 45 years old, and I live in Seattle, Washington.
Somebody grab me some salad?
In my neighborhood, I'm known as the pizza lady.
All right, it's always nice to see your hometown on TV, I guess, in a good light. And there seems to be a lot of people on this show from Seattle. Of course, Mike from Squim, which is, I guess, in the Seattle area. We had Avery, who lived, I don't think in Seattle proper. I think she was in Linwood. And then we have Ellie, who actually looks like she lives and works in Seattle. That pizza joint is a cute little pizza joint in Leschi, I believe. Really nice part of town. And if that's her house, she might have a very expensive home.
Oh, thank you.
I own and operate a pizza restaurant here in Seattle.
Order up! 5-star for you.
5 stars for me.
It's my baby. For the last 7 years, I have put my blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and it's very successful.
Well, now I have to go to this pizza place. I've never been. I love pizza, so I will definitely have to go, or maybe get delivery or something. It's across town. It's not easy to get to. Pizza looks kind of good, doesn't it?
Lady, I love her. He loved me so much. 11 months after we got married, we went to Atlanta, which is where he was from. I went to bed early that night, and when I woke up, I discovered him and he was dead.
Oh my goodness. So that is incredibly tragic. So she's telling us that she married a fella when she was in her 20s, and it sounds like a year after they got married, he died in the middle of the night. That is awful. Yeah, truly, truly tragic.
And it was awful. A few weeks later, the coroner's report came back, and it turned out that he had accidentally overdosed on a prescription painkiller. I just feel like I was never the same after that.
Yeah, by the way, make sure that you talk with your prescriber about medications that you can accidentally hurt yourself by taking too much of. I'm not a physician, I'm not a medical professional, so I won't provide any specific advice, but there are many, many cases in which people accidentally overdose while drinking a little bit of alcohol and then taking a pain med, or taking too much of this or that and it hurts your liver or your kidneys or something. So, just be very, very careful about medications that you might be harmed by.
27.
After losing my husband in that manner, it's been hard to open up my heart completely to someone because of that fear of losing them and going through that process again.
Right. So just imagine you meet someone, you fall in love, you're connecting, you're thinking, months into it, maybe I'll spend the rest of my life with this person. You talk about marriage, you get engaged, you're planning your whole life, you're meeting all your in-laws, and your spouse is meeting your family. You go through the wedding planning process, you go through the wedding, you go through the honeymoon. You start thinking about kids and homes and the future, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone. Just boom. Complete erasure of your future, of your life, of who you are. That would be a massive trauma, obviously, and would make it difficult to want to do that again. Even if rationally you're thinking, well, it's not likely that someone would die again, but it happened once, and what if it happened again? I poured everything that I had into that relationship, and then it was just, the universe just took it away. And that can happen. Maybe I should never open up again. Maybe I should never, try to put myself out there. The other thing that can happen is it's common for people to idealize their deceased partners, and to date and to think, oh, this person's nothing like what's his face. Oh, this person is never going to be like my husband. It could also feel like you're dishonoring the memory of your spouse. I don't know if that's what she's going through, so maybe she'll get into that.
All my furniture, pretty much get rid of everything. But the biggest thing I'm giving up is my restaurant. The restaurant is a big part of my identity. It's just like been my home base for the past 7 years. So giving it up is huge.
Yeah, so we've seen this before, like with Jenny and Sumit, when she had to sell her place and her car and everything. And that is significant, but selling your business that you worked so hard to build up over time, and also having all that income potential over time. She called it her baby, and that's a huge risk, I have to say. She knows the risk better than I would, obviously, but I wonder if it's wise, given that we see on this show a lot of times these relationships don't always work out. So, and I'm trying to calculate, I don't know if she specifically said how much time they've spent together in person. It sounds like they spent about a month or maybe 3 weeks together for, when they first met. And I don't know if I guess she did mention that they did see each other. So, maybe she has a lot of contact with him and understands that this is a relationship very likely to work, or is it one of those situations where once they start dealing with the reality of the relationship, things quickly start to fall apart, and now she's kind of locked in because she has given everything up in Seattle. So I guess we'll find out this season.
And blood and tears into this place.
I know how much you're giving up. I know how much you're sacrificing. But you're leaving everything behind for somebody that essentially, cumulatively, you've spent 100 days or so with.
Right.
I was a little bit surprised.
Okay, that's good. So he said cumulatively you've spent 100 days with. So what is that? It's like just over 3 months. So compared to other couples, that's a lot of time to spend with someone and get to know whether or not you're compatible. It's not a lot of time, though. It's not the typical amount of time that people will spend together before making major sacrifices in their life. Usually, if you're in the same town, it might be 1 or 2 years before you start thinking about making major changes to your life, knowing pretty sure that the relationship is going to work out. So there's that. Having said that, most marriages, or not most, but a high percentage of relationships, even if you spend a year or two together prior to getting married, end in divorce. So it's not like if you do it the typical way, it's guaranteed to work, because it's far from that. But 100 days. So I would say that's probably above average for this show in terms of how much time they've spent together. But still, not that much time. Particularly when you think about you spend it all vacation time, right? It's all fun time together. You don't spend those mundane weeks together and find out what you're like, in sort of everyday life. But I don't know, let's find out what happens this season with them.
Handsome without it, though, I don't really think that it's a great idea for her to be moving so quickly. Who is this guy? And how has he got in her head so much that she's willing to risk it all? I don't know.
Now, her name is Hiromi, which is a Japanese name, and I assume that she's Japanese American and probably, several generations down the line, like myself, because she doesn't have an accent. And I just have to say that it's always nice to see not only Asian Americans represented in TV and movies, but also Japanese Americans and Japanese Americans from Seattle, like myself. I don't know if I've talked about this in my reaction videos. I've certainly talked about it in the podcast, that it drives me bonkers when I see an Asian face in movies and TV from Hollywood, and instantly, as they start talking, they have an accent. Now, there's nothing wrong with East Asian people having accents, of course, in English, because certainly there's a lot. But there's a lot of people like me and Hiromi, who do not have accents, who have been living in the United States for a lot longer than a lot of the white people, and yet somehow when you see an Asian, and it perpetuates this idea that Asian Americans are foreigners, that we don't belong here, that we're not real Americans, these kinds of things. It drives me bonkers. So anyway, it's just nice to see Hiromi on the television. It should say something about this, about Hollywood, that when I see an Asian American, particularly a Japanese American on TV, I'm like, oh, yay, my people are here. It should say something,
7 months ago, I found out that Victor was cheating on me. The girl he was with actually messaged me and told me, hey, we're together now. We don't need any ex-girlfriends. Leave us alone, basically.
Interesting. So someone reached out to her saying that she was having a relationship with Victor. They blurred out, I want to actually rewind that and read this whole message. I'm curious, because data like this is actually kind of important. Like, what's that one time when Andrew was texting with Amira and we actually zoomed in on their text and it was alarming? Let's see what's in here.
He was with actually messaged me and told me.
All right, so let's look here. Hey, maybe you worry why Victor Baba don't chat you anymore. Easy, he is my boyfriend and he living in my house in Providencia. You chat a lot before how you miss him and how you cannot wait to see him. Enough, I'm tired of it already. We are in love and I don't want anyone, him, ex-girlfriend, to disturb us. Quarantine all the time, we stay at home, sex, love, cook, and many more. Many more? Victor, he is a good boy and he doesn't want to hurt your heart, so someone had to inform you it's life. Interesting. So it sounds from this person's account anyway, and who knows if it's true, but there wouldn't be a big reason to deny it, is that, at least from her perspective, they are in a full relationship and that Victor is shy and doesn't want to hurt her feelings. So yeah, that would be pretty rough. I wouldn't. Now, infidelity happens sometimes and people can recover. Let's see how they dealt with it.
It wasn't like he just slept with her. Like, they had an entire relationship.
Just remember, how pissed you were when you found out.
Yeah.
Right, so that's a good distinction that she has about it, is that it wasn't just a one-night stand, it was a full relationship where they were living together. So that's gotta hurt and that's gotta be very concerning. I wonder how they recovered. Again, on the internet and on the show, it's often like, oh, infidelity, you gotta run. But infidelity is common, and if everyone ran from every instance of infidelity, there wouldn't be very many relationships in the world. So, and I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's very common that people are more realistic about it and say like, well, if you're together for a long period of time and you're a long distance relationship in particular, infidelity might happen. Now, as I always want to point out, infidelity is immoral. It is immoral if you have an arrangement of exclusivity and you go against that arrangement, you are breaking a promise. That is wrong. Or you're probably lying by omission or flat out lying to your partner, which is also, of course, immoral. And your kindergarten teacher taught you that, and it's obvious. So it's wrong to cheat. It's wrong to lie. It's wrong to deceive. It's wrong to lie by omissions. It's wrong to willingly over a long period of time go against an agreement that you had with someone without talking about it first. Those are wrong things. They're immoral things. But they happen. In the same way that it's immoral to call someone a name, but that happens in conflict with in relationships. So it's wrong, but sometimes it happens, and people, if they do it right, they can recover and be stronger for it. Maybe that's what they did.
And then, I got more information. She was sending me photos and screenshots of their texts. After that, he stopped denying it, but he put most of the blame on her. Like, she tricked me, she trapped me,
I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay, so on one hand, you could maybe go along with that story of, I was lost, I didn't know what I was weak, I didn't know what to do, and I'm really sorry. I was alone, I was lonely, I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, I was scared of the virus, or, there's reasons, they're not excuses, but it's context. But there's another side of this story that she seems to be saying, that he was saying that this other woman trapped him and tricked him or something, which sounds dubious. But it's also possible that, and this happens, where people, including women, will coerce through various different means to coerce someone into a relationship. And I've seen this before, both personally and professionally, where someone just knows how to get in there, knows how to intimidate, knows how to infiltrate your life in a way that you're not used to pushing back on. And before you know it, the person's moved in, love bombing, this kind of thing. It doesn't excuse it necessarily, but it does provide a context that maybe is true and that helped the two of them recover in their relationship. But I wonder if we'll find out what that was.
Sorries, you're willing to just be like, oh yeah, of course I will just, move there for you. You're doing a lot for him.
I did break it off with him, but he kept on trying and trying. And I mean, he seems sincere.
And that's good enough for you.
So these are good questions from Hiromi, that with a couple of sorries, you're just willing to let it go. And she's saying, Ellie, is that her name? Ellie is saying, yeah, I did break it off with him, but he just kept at it. He just wanted to be with me, and he kept showing me that he cared. So from the outside, it could look like, what are you doing? But for Ellie, she's been in those conversations with him, and he might have been extremely sorry and remorseful and begging of her to come back, that if we were there and saw his communication, maybe we would be convinced as well. But I would hope that for Ellie's sake, she has some kind of story there of like how it happened. Like I said, there's a story of, I was terrified, or she infiltrated my life and I didn't know what to do. I was always trying to get rid of her, but she intimidated me, or something like that. Or I was going through a time when I was a little confused, and I thought, this is a long distance relationship. Am I ever going to see her again? And now, as I've lost you, I've realized, no, I really do want to be with you. The other hand, maybe this is not the only woman that he's cheated with, right? Like, you'd be kind of naive to assume that he hasn't cheated, because he did not tell you that he was cheating. This other woman, and it wasn't just mild cheating. He made several choices along the way, where eventually she's living with him and they're in love. And so I'm a little worried about this situation.
Well, it's enough, like, I want to give it a shot. I don't think it's defensible necessarily what he did. I can forgive him, but, I don't think you can just completely forget it.
Okay, yeah. So she's saying it's worth a shot. And maybe she's thinking, well, I don't know if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. I can't say that at this point, but I think their relationship is salvageable, maybe. And I'm going to go down there and see if I can trust him, and see if I can be convinced that he is into just me, and if that's true, then I'm willing to forgive. I'm not going to forget it. So a cautious moving forward in the relationship makes sense.
Oh, cool. You're going to sell your whole life away for this guy that completely lied and cheated on you. Victor was apologetic, but Victor lied to Ellie. And Victor lied to this other woman. And that kind of manipulation is not a one-time offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, so two things. One, this is this notion that once a cheater, always a cheater, which isn't necessarily true. Also, it's true that a lot of people cheat. So to say once a cheater, always a cheater is kind of like saying, well, everyone cheats all the time. I don't know if that's true. And it's hard for us to, and I've talked about this before, it's hard for us to know the truth about the prevalence of cheating. What do we mean by cheating? Is it just texting with someone, or is it, actually having intercourse? What's the threshold? And then you have to ask people if they've cheated before. That's the only way we can know that anyone has cheated before. And of course, people aren't always going to be truthful on a survey. So you'll see prevalence rates between like 20 to 90% of people have cheated before, or something like that. So it's hard for us to know. I've looked at a lot of the data, and my take on the data is, particularly the older you are, when you're 13, the chance that you cheated already is pretty slim. So the older you are and the more relationship time you've had, the more time in an exclusive relationship that you've had, your chance of having cheated in some way, shape, or form goes up pretty high. So in terms of at least just one transgression. So there's that. So she's saying, once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't know what people mean exactly by that, and I certainly don't think that you should just write someone off if they've cheated before. You can if you want to, but I don't know if it's based on sound evaluations. But the other thing that Hiromi is pointing out is the enormity of the cheating. It wasn't just like, no, I didn't sleep with that woman that one night when I was drunk. It is, and also lying to the other woman, it is day after day after day after day, lie after lie after lie after lie, just, mountains and mountains of lies, not just one lie. Like, no, I did not eat the cookie from the cookie jar. It is, yes, I love you. You're the only one for me. No, I'm not being with anyone else. No, I don't have a girlfriend in the United States. Yes, I am in love with you. Yes, I am in love with you. You're the only, it's just day, and of course all the lying by omission, day after day, hour by hour, minute by minute, for I don't know how long, but a long period of time. That's saying something, not only about how someone feels about you, perhaps, but also about their personality. Who knows? Let's continue watching.
If you can lie to two women like that, what else are you lying about? What else are you lying about? What else is going to come out later? Obviously, I want you to be happy, but this is not a joke. This is your entire life.
Right, and I'm reminded that she is, I think, selling her house. She is selling her business. She is giving everything up, her family and friends and everything. So, yeah, it's quite a gamble on a situation that anyone looking at it would say, I don't know if this is a for sure thing. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.